Hello students, welcome to Unit 3. For today's lesson, it is June 26th, which is a Friday, and we will be talking about perpendicular and parallel lines. Now for today, there's actually going to be two videos, so you guys have to watch for video 1, the first video for assignment 1, and then for assignment 2, you definitely need to watch another video which is going to be on assignment 2, but don't worry, it's not going to be that long, all right? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about parallel lines first. Parallel line just means two lines on a graph that they are parallel, meaning that they go the same direction. That means they would never meet, all right? So that's parallel lines. So how do you know if two graphs are going to be parallel? As you can see, you can measure, remember, we're using the change of y and then the change of x. And if you do that, or anywhere on those two lines, they're gonna look exactly the same. So therefore the slope is the same, all right? The y-intercept has to be different. This is your y-intercept there. It has to be different. If the y-intercept is the same, therefore they be the same graph, it won't be parallel, okay? Here are some samples of parallel lines. These two here, as you can see, the slope is the same and different y-intercept. Same thing for B, same slope, different y-intercept. I know they're the same number, but this is negative, that means they're not the same y-intercept, all right? For C, it's not parallel. Even though the slope is the same, if the y-intercept is the same, that is not a parallel lines, all right? Okay, let's move on to perpendicular. For perpendicular, for a graph, okay, if they're perpendicular, meaning that they will actually, they're not parallel, they're actually the opposite parallel. That means they're gonna go, let me use a different color here. They are gonna go in this completely opposite direction, making a perfect T. All right, I know it doesn't looks like a perfect T, but if you move it, it should look like a perfect T. Okay, well, that's not that great. But anyway, so when they intersect exactly at 90 degrees, it's called perpendicular. Okay, that means they're a perfect intersection that makes a perfect angle for all four. Okay, so for something to be perpendicular, all right, the slope obviously has to be different. They are actually opposite reciprocal, meaning that they are mirror of each other in terms of opposite. They will flip. That's a reciprocal, and the opposite is a negative or positive. Okay, so for example, for A, see, one of them is negative. That covers the opposite, and the reciprocal, meaning that this, you could put a 1 over here. That means if you flip this one, it becomes 1 over 4. It doesn't matter which one's negative, as long as one of them is negative, and they've been flipped. They will intersect perfectly, making a 90-degree angle. Here's another example for reciprocal. Oh, by the way, the y-intercept doesn't matter. They could be the same or different. It doesn't matter. However, for this one, as you can see, okay, one of them is it doesn't matter which one's negative, as long as only one is negative, and they've been flipped. And there you go. Doesn't have the y-intercept could be 0, and that's fine too. Okay, as long as the y-intercept is different, that's fine. All right. Now this one is not perpendicular. As you can see, it's 2 over 1. That's 1 over 2. One of them has to be a negative, so therefore this is not perpendicular. All right? All right, so that's the definition of perpendicular. Let's move on and do a problem that is involving parallel and perpendicular lines. All right, so let's get started on example 1, write an equation. All right? Now there's a couple things. Make sure you remember this equation here. You're gonna need that. Okay, so we're gonna write an equation that's parallel to y is equal to 2 over 3x plus 5. And that line has to pass through 3 and 2. Remember, 3 is x, and then 2 is y. Okay, so what we need to do, we already know that it's our new line's gonna have the same parallel line. You know, it's gonna be 2 over 3. We just need to find the y-intercept. Okay, so let's go ahead and rewrite this one here. I'm sorry, we're gonna rewrite this one. I'm gonna plug in these two, and we're gonna use the exact same slope. Okay, so that's 2 is equal to, we're gonna use the exact same slope because we know that our new line is gonna have the same slope. Okay, x is 3. I'm going to use the parenthesis, and then we're going to find the y-intercept. Once you find the y-intercept, then we can complete our equation because we already know what the slope is. We need to know what the y-intercept is. Okay, so that cancels. That gives you 2 is equal to plus b. That's a simple equation. You just subtract 2 to both sides. Oh, okay, your slope is 0. All right, so now you know that your slope is, your y-intercept is 0. You know you're going to use the exact same slope, which is 2 over 3. And then we know what the y-intercept is, which is plus 0. Or you don't need to write down plus 0. That's your answer for number 1. All right. Now we're going to do something very similar, but it's going to be for perpendicular instead. Okay. Now for perpendicular, we know that the slope has to be opposite reciprocal. So we know it has to be positive because that one's negative, and reciprocal of that, that'd be 4 over 3. Okay, so now we know the slope, we just need to find the y-intercept. All right, we just need to find the y-intercept. Okay, so let's go ahead and rewrite this equation right here using that slope for 4 over 3. Okay, so our y, same thing as 2. So that's 2, that turns into 2, is equal to 4 over 3, and x happens to be negative 4 plus b. Again, you want to find what the y-intercept is. We already know what the slope is. Find the y-intercept. This one you can't cancel anything. This is going to give you a pretty tricky long fraction problem. All right, let's go and add 16 over 3 to both sides. You go, wait a second. This is not a fraction. I'm going to convert that into 1 multiplied by 3 and 3. That will give me 6 over 3. That cancel equals, and then that's b. And then I add those two, that gives me 22 over 3. All right, we found our y-intercept. We know what our slope is, okay? So let's go ahead and just write down the equation. So y is equal to 4 over 3x, and we found our y-intercept is a positive 22 over 3. All right, that's all you're gonna do today for assignment 1. Go ahead and watch the video for assignment 2.